Hello everyone, now you'll hear a story that will shock you. With my wife we went through fire and water, she cheated on me, but with whom you will find out in this story. My world fell apart recently, and I'm still trying to pick up the pieces. I, 36M, have been married to my wife, Emily, 34F, for 12 years. We have 2 beautiful kids together, a house, a life I thought was happy. I thought I had everything. Emily works in marketing, and over the past 2 years, she's been traveling a lot for work. At first, I was supportive. She was moving up in her career, making more money, and she seemed genuinely happy about it. But then, the trips became more frequent. Late-night meetings. Weekend conferences. Always with her boss, Daniel, 41M. At first, I didn't think much of it. I trusted her. I believed her when she said she was just exhausted after work trips and that's why she was distant. But little things started adding up. The way she'd suddenly get defensive when I asked about her day. How she was glued to her phone, constantly texting someone, then quickly locking the screen when I walked by. The way she suddenly started dressing up more, even on her casual work from home days. One night, I saw a message pop up on her phone while she was in the shower. It was from Daniel. Just a simple, miss you already face blowing a kiss. I felt my stomach drop. I didn't confront her right away. I told myself it could be innocent. Maybe just a friendly joke. But deep down, something felt off. So I started paying attention more. And that's when I noticed how often she worked late when Daniel was in town. How often she'd come home smelling like a different cologne. I wanted to believe I was just paranoid. That I was overthinking. Until one night, when she slipped up. And that's when everything changed. After seeing that message from Daniel, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. But I needed proof, real proof. So I did what any suspicious husband would do. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Emily had always been a good liar. She knew exactly how to twist words, how to cry on command, how to make me feel guilty for even questioning her. But this time, I wasn't going to let her manipulate me. One night, she told me she had a last-minute work dinner with Daniel and a few colleagues. Said it was important. Said she had to go. I played dumb. Smiled. Told her to have fun. But the second she left, I followed her. I felt ridiculous doing it, like I was in some trashy detective movie. But my gut was screaming at me. I drove a few blocks behind her, careful not to get too close. Sure enough, she wasn't heading to some fancy restaurant downtown. She pulled into a hotel parking lot instead. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I needed to see it with my own eyes. I parked across the street and waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then I saw him. Daniel. Walking out of the hotel lobby. Smirking. Running a hand through his hair like he didn't have a damn care in the world. And then, right behind him, Emily. She was laughing. Playfully shoving him like some giggling schoolgirl. They looked so comfortable together. Like this was their routine. Like this wasn't the first time. I felt sick. But I still wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. I wanted to see just how deep this rabbit hole went. And I wouldn't have to wait long. Because 2 weeks later, fate handed me the perfect moment. When I caught them red-handed. In a damn taxi. 2 weeks. That's how long I waited. 2 weeks of pretending everything was fine. 2 weeks of forcing myself to act normal while my wife lied to my face over and over again. I watched her text him late at night, her face glowing from the screen, a little smirk on her lips. I watched her leave early for meetings and come back smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. And through it all, I stayed silent. Because I wanted to catch her. Not just suspect it. Not just assume. I wanted proof. And then, one night, I got it. She told me she was going out with a friend, some coworker I had never met. Said they'd be grabbing drinks and talking about work stuff. I smiled. Kissed her on the cheek. Told her to have fun. Then I followed her. She wasn't careful. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. She got into a taxi, and I took my own, following at a distance. My heart was hammering in my chest. I didn't know what I would find, but deep down, I already knew. The taxi stopped outside a fancy hotel. The same one I had seen her at 2 weeks ago. But this time, I didn't wait. I walked right up to the car. And there she was. Sitting in the back seat with Daniel. His hand on her thigh. Her head tilted back in laughter. The kind of laugh she hadn't given me in years. Something inside me snapped. I yanked the door open. What the hell is this? Emily's eyes went wide, and for the first time, I saw real panic on her face. Daniel? He just smirked. Like I was some idiot interrupting his fun. But Emily, oh, she went straight into hysterical mode. Oh my God, what are you doing here? Why are you spying on me? She shrieked, scrambling to push Daniel's hand off her. You're insane, you know that. Insane. I stared at her. At this woman I had spent the last 10 years with. The mother of my children. The woman I thought I knew. And all I felt was disgust. I took a deep breath. My voice was calm. Too calm. We're done, Emily. She froze. Like she hadn't expected me to say it. I turned to Daniel, who still had that smug look on his face. You can have her, I said. Good luck. And then, without another word, I walked away. I didn't even look back. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Instead, I drove around the city, my mind racing. My marriage, 10 years of my life, had just crumbled in a single moment. And the worst part? I didn't even feel sad. I felt relieved. Relieved that I finally had the truth. Relieved that I didn't have to pretend anymore. By the time I got home, it was almost morning. She was already there, waiting. As soon as I walked in, she started screaming, her face twisted in rage. She kept going on and on about how I had humiliated her. How I had no right to make a scene. How I was acting insane. I didn't say a word. I just walked past her, heading straight for the bedroom. She followed me, still yelling. Her voice was shrill, demanding, full of venom. Like I was the one who had done something wrong. Like I had betrayed her. I turned to her, finally meeting her gaze. My voice was calm, too calm. I told her she had cheated. She had lied. 4 months. She scoffed. Rolled her eyes. Then came the excuses, the dismissive tone, the fake tears. She actually had the audacity to say it wasn't a big deal. That it didn't mean she didn't love me. That I was blowing everything out of proportion. And then, the worst part. She said I wasn't taking the kids. My blood turned to ice. I blinked, making sure I'd heard her right. She stood there, chin lifted, daring me to argue. I stepped closer, voice dangerously low. She was really going to stand there and pretend I was the one tearing this family apart. She doubled down, spewing more garbage, twisting everything. Trying to blame me. Trying to make this about all my supposed flaws, about how I wasn't perfect either. How she had to do this. How I had pushed her into it. I laughed. Actually laughed. She was unbelievable. I told her exactly what was going to happen. I was filing for divorce. And if she thought I wouldn't fight for full custody, she was even dumber than I thought. That hit a nerve. Her face twisted with fury. She threw out more threats, saying if I wanted to play dirty, she could too. I didn't respond. I just walked away, grabbed my phone, and called my lawyer. Let's see how she handles this. She wasn't expecting me to actually go through with it. For the first few days after I called my lawyer, she acted like nothing had happened. Like our marriage wasn't already dead. She still put on her fake smile in front of the kids, still acted like we were some perfect little family. But behind closed doors, she was different. Cold. Distant. Then, when I didn't back down, she turned nasty. She started playing mind games. One moment, she was apologizing, saying we could fix this. The next, she was threatening to make my life a living hell. She was already trying to manipulate the kids. Telling them I was the one breaking up the family. That I was the reason things were falling apart. That I didn't love them enough to stay. That was my breaking point. I sat my children down and told them the truth, not everything, but enough. That their mother had broken our marriage. That things were going to change, but that I would always be there for them. She lost her mind after that. Screaming at me, saying I had poisoned them against her. That I was ruining her reputation. As if she hadn't done that herself. Then came the real bombshell. My lawyer called with an update. She wasn't just fighting for custody. She wanted everything. The house, the money, the car. She expected me to walk away with nothing while she played the victim. She was delusional. I had proof of her affair. Bank statements showing money she had spent on him. Receipts. Travel records. She didn't realize it yet, but she was about to lose everything. She thought she could take everything from me. Her lawyers sent their demands: full custody of the kids, the house, spousal support. She acted like I was just going to roll over and accept it. Like I would let her destroy my life while she ran off with her boss. She was wrong. My lawyer had everything we needed. The affair wasn't just a one-time mistake, it was a long-term betrayal. I had proof of her traveling with him, spending nights in hotels under his name, using our joint account to pay for gifts. The texts, the calls, the blatant disrespect. And it turns out, I wasn't the only one she had lied to. Her boss, her wonderful, perfect boyfriend, didn't know that she was planning to bleed me dry. He thought they were just waiting for the right time to move in together, to start fresh. He had no idea that she was trying to take my house, my kids, and my money. So, I let him know. A simple message. A few screenshots. Nothing more. And just like that, the cracks in her perfect little plan started to show. She came home in a rage, slamming doors, pacing around like a caged animal. Something had gone wrong, and I knew exactly what it was. Then she started accusing me of ruining her life. As if she hadn't done that all on her own. I just stood there, watching her unravel. She had spent so long lying, manipulating, pretending to be in control. Now, the walls were closing in, and she knew it. She wasn't going to win this. Everything was falling apart for her. Her boss, her perfect lover, was furious. After I sent him the truth, he realized she had been lying to him too. He wasn't the only man she was manipulating. She told him she was in the process of leaving me, that we were amicable, that I was supportive of her new relationship. All lies. Now, he wasn't answering her calls. He wasn't meeting her after work. He wasn't paying for her little luxuries anymore. She tried to play it off like nothing was wrong, but I could see the panic in her eyes. Then came the desperation. She started acting nice to me. Suddenly, she wanted to talk, to figure things out, like adults. She wasn't screaming or throwing things anymore, no, now she was apologizing, saying we could work through this. She must have thought I was stupid. I told her straight, I was done. The divorce was moving forward. I wanted nothing to do with her. The kids would stay with me because, unlike her, I actually put them first. That's when she really lost it. She started crying, begging, saying she had made a mistake. That she was just confused. That she still loved me. It was pathetic. She didn't love me. She just loved winning. And now that she was losing, she didn't know what to do. I walked away. I wasn't playing her games anymore. And the best part? The real kicker. Her boss had already started seeing someone else. Her world was crumbling, and I was watching it happen in real time. The moment she realized her boss had moved on was the moment she truly broke. She had been trying to call him for days, texting, leaving voicemails, even waiting outside his office like some desperate teenager. But he wasn't biting. I knew because I got a message from him. It was short and to the point: "She won't stop bothering me. Can you handle your wife?" My wife. As if he hadn't played a role in destroying our marriage. But it didn't matter. I didn't respond. That wasn't my problem anymore. She came home that night, looking completely drained. She didn't even put on her usual fake confidence. No shouting, no blaming. Just silence. But silence didn't mean I trusted her. I changed the locks. I had already spoken to a lawyer. The house would be mine until the divorce was finalized. If she wanted to stay somewhere, she could find another man to leech off of. Then, the final blow. I got full custody. She tried to fight it, of course, claiming I was turning the kids against her. But the judge saw through her act. She had been absent for so long, constantly traveling, barely spending time with them. And now that she had lost everything, she suddenly wanted to be a mother again. Too little, too late. When she realized she had nothing left, not me, not her boss, not even her own children, she finally snapped. She screamed that I had ruined her life. That I had plotted against her. That I was heartless. Heartless? No. I just finally stopped being her fool. She was unraveling. After the court ruling, she spiraled. The woman who once acted so untouchable, so superior, now looked completely lost. Like she had just realized, for the first time, that actions have consequences. She tried to appeal. It didn't work. She tried to talk to the kids. They didn't want to see her. She even tried to talk to me. I didn't engage. I didn't need to. She had made her choices, and now she was alone. She moved out that week. I don't know where she went, and honestly, I didn't care. My focus was on rebuilding my life, on being there for my children, on finally being free. And then, she came into my life. At first, I didn't even realize what was happening. It was casual, simple, a conversation here, a moment there. Nothing forced, nothing rushed. Just natural. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. For the first time in years, I felt wanted, not for what I could give, not for what I could provide, but for who I was. And just like that, everything started falling into place. Meanwhile, my ex-wife was about to learn a lesson she never saw coming. I heard about it through a mutual friend. Her boss, the one she threw away our marriage for. The one she swore was the love of her life. He dumped her. Not just dumped her. Ghosted her. She had given up everything, her husband, her family, her stability, for him. And in the end, she was just another disposable woman to him. Another office fling. Another mistake. She tried calling him, messaging him. Nothing. He was done with her, had probably moved on to someone younger, someone new. Just like that, she was alone. And the best part? She didn't have me to fall back on. No home. No husband. No kids who wanted to see her. Just a bitter, lonely existence of her own making. Meanwhile, my life was better than ever. My kids and I were stronger than before. They saw through their mother's lies. They saw who really cared, who was actually there for them. And when I looked at my new relationship, the woman who stood beside me, not out of convenience, not out of selfishness, but out of genuine love, I realized something. Losing my ex-wife wasn't a tragedy. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. She made her choices. And now, she had to live with them.